I was snooping, for sure, and feeling pretty guilty about it. But when I kneeled down by the tidy caretaker's twin bed and pulled out a machete the size of my arm, I had to ask myself if this job was really the right job for me. When I was 19, I answered a classified ad that was looking for a landscaper. I wasn't particularly interested in landscaping per se, and it paid $5 an hour, by the way. But the location interested me, and so I called right away and convinced the voice on the other end of the phone that I was perfect for the job, and then started planning my 45-minute ride down hilly, busy roads to a gravel parking lot where I was to meet a man, a stranger, who was going to drive me out to an island, a private island, where we were going to work together alone. I'm not famous for my great decisions around career choices. At least I'm not famous for consistent decisions around my career choices. I am a botanical photographer. I did go to school for it. But when you tell people, when they ask you what you do, you're an artist, they kind of give you the side eye a lot. And definitely there's no 401k in my future. And not a lot of great benefits come with it. So I've developed what is either you can describe as a insane resume or a really ambitious resume, depending on whose hands it's in. I have worked as a hotel housekeeper. I've been a line cook. I've been a waitress, a hostess, a boxing coach, a museum curator, a food critic, a fishmonger, and a lot of other things. I've built up a pretty colorful work life over the years. So I have ADHD. I don't think anybody's going to be shocked to hear that at this point in the story, right? But what you might be surprised to hear is that I only recently figured this out in my life. Despite having lived a life that was like one red flag after another, like she might have ADHD since a young age. But I grew up in the 70s and 80s when they were like, diagnosis, like, no, she's anxious or she's creative and kind of like take it easy, that kind of thing. But the other reason is because culturally, well, practically speaking, the tests for things like ADHD and autism spectrum disorder and other related disorders were all done on young boys. And so I think collectively that's what we tend to picture when we picture ADHD. And I think I used that terminology sort of tongue-in-cheek for a long time, like, oh, my ADHD. But in fact, when I had children, like a lot of other women who are diagnosed as adults, everything got crazier when I had my children. And so if you can picture me with kind of like my crazy hair up in a side bun and a kid on my hip and like a sink full of dishes and like I'm trying to think about my creative life and also can't deal with organizing things and also can't actually work in an organized space. And I always felt like I was kind of just treading water and trying to keep my head above water. And I was like, maybe I should get some help. And I did. I finally got an evaluation, and I went through 4 hours of testing and a long multiple choice series of questions, which my therapist actually lost. I think he had ADHD, actually. I'm a stranger to him. But yeah, I got a diagnosis, and I didn't feel like I needed a capital D diagnosis because I recognized myself in all those questions. So once I had a diagnosis, I had to ask myself the question, like, would I do anything differently? Would I have done this all differently? Would I have kept that job as a museum curator and developed that? Would I have been a less anxious, more grounded parent? Would I have taken the machete job even? I think it's kind of a futile question. I did take that job, and now that I have this information, I think perhaps I can make a few adjustments. Maybe I can develop an autobiographical book about a young, charming young college woman who took impulsively a job on an island owned by an eccentric millionaire who was also a world-famous investor. She had to work with a curious caretaker who was an ex-race car driver who dressed like a 1970s tennis star. There was also a message in a bottle, and in a twist, a shipwreck and a love story that ended with everyone leaving the island. Spoiler alert. I'm all in one piece. We all got off the island. And everyone lived happily ever after. Thank you.